Hi there, I'm covering Jen McCabe's testimony today. I have gone through the entire, basically, transcript of her testimony today, and I've got a lot of timestamps marked. Point by point, she contradicted herself, Trooper Proctor. She contradicted Grand Jury Indictment testimony of herself. She contradicted other court transcribed documents. She contradicted phone records. She contradicted another state witness who said that she said specific things and did specific things regarding Karen. She contradicted her own testimony while on the stand, and I'm going to share each moment that she did that. But first, I want to cover this picture right here. This is the picture. This is what Jen McCabe testified today, locking in all the lies so the feds can really take them down. And the reason I say that is because this is what Jen McCabe presented today on the stand, is the condition of her tail light. The defense was hammering in that she testified at the grand jury and in different times that it had a crack in it. But also to point this picture out so that she can identify that this specifically is what it looked like. And the reason is because of what I'm about to show you. Take a look at this headlight. Now, if this was to be turned on in this car, there would not be any red glow. There would be white light. This is how a cop would see that you have a tail light out. And this is what Mcabe testified, that he didn't think she should be driving because her tail light was missing. He specifically said missing. Now, look at this. This, the whole world saw. Now watch, it's not about her bumping that car back there. That's how the crack got in her tail light. She's backing out, she's freaking out. This is 5 a.m. and it's timestamped by Google. It's irrefutable evidence. I'm going to pause this, take a look at her tail light after she just bumped that car. Boom, shakalaka laka laka. Do you see any missing tail light? It's cracked, but it's still not missing. And so this is a problem for them, for the reason that of what they presented in that picture does not match this video, and this is taken at 4:59 a.m., hours after she dropped John. There would be no red glow in that tail light. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. That tail light is fully effective and working. If that tail light was out like you seen in that photo, it would be white light and she would have been pulled over, and rightfully so. But this is 5 a.m., guys. Most certainly did not look like this. There's no red here at all. This is like, it's like 90% gone. All of this. It's gone. All of this would have been white lights. And so you can see there's a tool mark too. A tool mark before they removed all this. They're saying that this was before they did anything to it. There's a tool mark. When you get a close-up picture of it right there on that. Somebody, and then there's missing footprints in her driveway seen at 6:30 a.m. right at her tail light. So sometime after 5 a.m., before 6:30 a.m., somebody busted her taillight out so they can plant the pictures. And I believe they focused in on her taillight because she mentioned that she had a crack in her taillight. And she, at that time, had not seen the video footage of her backing into John's car. Let's look at that again. She had no idea how she got that crack on her taillight. She thought she hit something, because she did. And that's the scratch mark on the side of her car. And it matches the paint color of his car. And if it was tested against it, it would have proven it came from his car. Okay, enough of that. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty about the contradictions that Jen McCabe made. She contradicted the grand jury indictment record. She didn't agree with it. She contradicted police reports. She contradicted Trooper Proctor's report. She contradicted phone records. She contradicted the 360 app. She contradicted herself. She changed her testimony multiple times from earlier ones. So I'm going to go into that. Okay, this is the portion where she had reviewed the entire transcript of the grand jury indictment. It's like 220 pages. And she said that she did review that before this. So she would have known, this is what the defense is pointing out, how many times she testified that Karen Reed said, I think I hit him, I think I hit him, and that she was specifically standing next to her while she was talking to either a cop or a female EMT, and she was saying, I think I hit him, I think I hit him, did I hit him, could I have hit him? And by this time, the reason she's saying those things is because this woman and the other people that was at that party all were messing with her mind and lying to her and telling her that John O'Keefe never made it into the house. And in her mind, she remembered watching him walk up to the door. So because she knew she was drinking, she had questioned her memory. These people were supposed to be her close friends, and she trusted them. She had no idea whatsoever that he was murdered. And so she's questioning herself, oh my gosh, did I hit him? Because she did have a crack. She never said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. And so this is where the defense is saying, well, you testified at the grand jury. You never once said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, repeating her. In fact, 12 times she testified on the way to there and at that scene, specifically, that she said, did I hit him? Could I have? Is he dead? And so he's pointing this out. I'll go ahead and play it now. And she is so slippery. She will not disagree. I've got it muted because I don't want to, So she's telling him, direct me to the testimony. And he's saying, it's not in there. You've already read this. You know it's not in there. So why did you not tell the grand jury, when you're being investigated and questioned, if she had said, I hit him, it was her time to tell the grand jury. That would be an obstruction of justice if she had not told them that she said that. So she's trying to defend herself why she did not say it to them. I'm not sure if it's in here. If I could take time, you want me to read it? No, honey, you done read it. He can't point into the grand jury. So she is so mad right now. She contradicted. She changed her story. But this is nothing. Just wait. I would have to. So she's trying to, evade the fact that she never testified while she's being questioned. That would be a crime of obstruction of justice if you did not report that she said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. And instead said, did I hit him? She's trying to avoid the accusation of obstruction of justice. Oh yeah, it's powerful. It's a powerful part of her testimony now. I can't recall. It's over 200 pages. She can't recall what she said to the grand jury indictment. You think that if you're here, let me stop this for a minute. If you think you're here testifying in a court of law, that this woman said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, and you testified not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, not half a dozen times, 12 times, it's all in record. She testified that she said, did I hit him, did I hit him, did I hit him? Anybody can get a copy of that transcript of that grand jury indictment. It's public record. She just said she cannot recall what she said to the grand jury. She can't recall. You want me to read it? Because I can't recall. Honey, you can't recall, but now you testifying for sure that that's what she said. So I'm saying, okay. So this is the point where she's testifying about her interview with Trooper Proctor. Okay, she is being very, very calculating. She seems to be very coached, and the reason I say that is because she is contradicting Proctor. She is saying, now when she wants to see the record of what's in the report. So she says, she wants to see the record. I'm like, okay, well, that's not how it works. If you cannot recall, then we will show you the record to help refresh your memory. But she would not say she can't recall. And you know why she would say that? Because that would hurt her testimony to say that she couldn't recall what she told Trooper Proctor. So that's why I'm saying she's very calculating. So instead, she will not answer the question directly. The judge allows her to behave in this manner, allows her to editorialize the questions, will not answer directly, and the judge at least 3 times told her to answer a question. And she, like example, like one time the judge said, well, does it help you remember it? And she's like, well, I'll take a look at it. That's not an answer to the judge's question. That's not, well, yes or no, or I can't recall. But this is the point where Proctor specifically said that she said about Jen's position of the car and location of it. And that's a very important piece of information. And so he's showing her what Proctor's report says, and she's contradicting Proctor's report. So he's saying, does this document help you remember it? No. I know what I said. I didn't tell Trooper. I didn't tell him that. So she's contradicting Trooper. And she gets mad. Okay, so here's the next time she contradicts him. And she just basically says that's an error on his part. Just outright says that what Proctor put in a report is not correct. They're not going to say that he's lying, just that not correct. Oh, he just misinterpreted, or he just erred. Okay, so this is just one of the many people that she contradicts. Okay, so this, she very specifically said there was an officer, could have been an EMT, and she repeated that same thing she said originally to the grand jury indictment, except for the words were, did I hit him? Not, I hit him, I hit him. Every single one of those 12 separate times, you indicated that she asked the question something like, could I have hit him? Or did I hit him? Those were the words that are in the transcript from the grand jury indictment, which she is now completely testifying differently. And then she tries to say, response from an officer asking questions, what I just read. Okay. Now she puts John getting out of the car, and she doesn't repeat, she's not saying, Karen told me John got out of the car. No, she specifically, when they asked what happened to him, she says, well, I don't know, he got out of the car. She specifically said she saw John get out of the car.
With court permission, I'd ask to play about runtime 1:30 to 1:45.
And of course, you know, she tries to act like, so what?
Do you recognize the voice on that tape?
Yes, that's mine.
That appear to be a true and accurate, at least that portion, a true and accurate.
Allie slipped up and put John at the house as well.
It was a very brief clip. I'd have to hear more.
Go ahead and play, starting at runtime 1:30 to about 1:45.
46 years old. Somebody placed that on seat outside. I don't know. I don't know. He got out of the car.
Boom. There you have it. She did not say, Karen said she got out of the car. I don't know. He got out of the car. Then there is the 360 app that she testified at the grand jury was very accurate in her experience. It was reliable. And her daughter was, according to the app, going back and forth between the house and the high school, like 2 or 3 times at 1 a.m. And she's very evasive on admitting that her daughter, Allie, did that. Allie is the one who slipped up in testimony and said that Colin wasn't there when John was at the house. He has to remind her that she did testify in front of the grand jury that it works as GPS and it's reliable. I mean, it may, you know how sometimes GPS is off like maybe 50 feet sometimes, but it cannot take you places when you're not going anywhere. It might be off 100 feet, couple hundred feet, but it's not going to just have you going places when you're not going anywhere. That was the point, and she's just, she knows that she's caught. But, you know, she just won't acknowledge anything. She keeps asking for documents. And here's one thing that she did also. She was like, okay, well, I wasn't asked this question. So she was asked a specific question about what did she observe in front of the house. And she didn't mention a Jeep. So he asked, why didn't you tell the grand jury about the Jeep? Oh, well, I wasn't asked about that Jeep. I was like, okay, well, the officer didn't know about the Jeep to ask you about the Jeep. But he did specifically ask her, what did she observe? So her omissions of those vehicles was in fact deception. But you know, she just evades when she's caught in a lie. And so, you know, her daughter was Allie. She was off on making trips to the high school according to the 360 app, and she just acts like, you know, she makes a comment about, well, that's not how I found out. And then she, like, shuts up real quick and then doesn't say anything else about it. That's not how I found out. So she kind of admitted that she did know that her daughter was traipsing around at the high school at 1 a.m. This is an important thing that the defense says to her. He says, you can remember it today as clearly as the day she did it, to get her to agree with that. So then when she shows her what she said at the grand jury, it shows clearly she is lying. You remembered clearly as the day that she said it. Yes, is what she said. Now, watch with the grand jury indictment, what she testified there. So if she can say today that her memory is so clear of what she said, as clear as the day she said it, there is no way for her earlier to say, I don't recall what I said at the grand jury. Do you want me to read this 200 pages? She said she didn't recall then, but now she's saying that she remembers it clearly. And now he's getting ready to whip out the grand jury indictment, where she said 12 times. Did I hit him? Did I hit him? Did I hit him? Could I have hit him? Those were Karen's words. So this defense attorney did a really good job on cornering her, because he like goes backwards in chronological events, locks her in to saying that she remembers clearly as the day, and this is contradicting her saying, well, I can't recall what I said at the grand jury indictment. Do you want me to read the whole thing? But then he just got her to say she remembers everything as clearly as the day she said it. So at the grand jury indictment, 12 times. 12 times. On the way to the house and at the scene, Karen Reed said, could I have hit him? Did I hit him? And that was only because all of them were messing with her mind by making her believe that he never made it into that house. Even though you could hear her own words say to 911, I don't know, he got out of the car. She never said that's what Karen said. She told 911 she doesn't know what happened to him, just that he got out of the car. Now he's reminding her that she did say that she read that entire grand jury testimony so that her memory would be refreshed. And yet she still says, I remember it just like it was yesterday. And yet she can't recall the grand jury indictment that she just read. And 12 times she said, could I have hit him? Did I hit him? She's reading the grand jury indictment right now from April 26, 2022, where she told a grand jury under oath the words of Karen Reed. Did I hit him? Could I have hit him? And if she had omitted, I hit him, that would be obstruction of justice, and she should be charged. So she's cornered. She's trapped. And she knows it. She was under oath at that time, subject to the penalty of perjury, And she said 12 times. Did I hit him? Could I have hit him? Nowhere, ever, did she say to a grand jury under oath, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. And she said her memory is so fresh that she can remember it like she did the day she said it. That she didn't tell the grand jury that. Instead, she said, could I have hit him? Did I hit him? Now, she contradicts the phone company. She contradicts 360 apps. She contradicts the Grand Jury Indictment. She contradicts Proctor. Now she's contradicting the Cellrite phone company that says there are missing calls. She swore up and down she never deleted any calls. And the phone company record says different. And she's just like, she doesn't care. Anyway, so she was caught in a lie in regarding to the conversation that she had, saying that she wasn't listening in on the conversation that Carrie Roberts was having an interview. She was trying to say, no, you're confused. There's two different interviews. There's one by phone and one in person. And she was there present for both of them. One of them, she was sitting next to her. And then she tries to say on one point that she was sitting next to her and then reporting to the group. And she just overheard it. She wasn't eavesdropping because she was sitting next to him. Then she changes that. She changes it, if you pay attention. She changes it to later. She's like on that one that where the cop was there in person. Oh, she's in another room. She's talking to her kids. She's not paying attention. She could hear voices, but she wasn't listening, eavesdropping on their conversation. But then the defense said, but look at the text that you said next. Oh my gosh, she's saying everything. So he got her to admit that when she texted, it was during the time where that cop was actually present there. So if you go back and you listen to those two different interviews that Carrie had, and you listen closely, you will see she changed her story over and over. Here's where she's been given a copy of the report. Of course, she wouldn't admit that she didn't recall because you don't get to see a report. But he asked her, does that refresh her recollection? And she's like, no, I didn't say what he's saying. She refuses to say she couldn't remember, which is not appropriate. Either it's yes, no, or you don't remember. I know what I said to Proctor Trooper on the 29th. And he's like, look, I have to do it this way. He's explaining to her, listen, you've demanded the document, which she did repeatedly. She would not give an answer unless she would demand to see the document. And the only time you give them a document is if they cannot recall or to show that what they're saying is not true. Like if they can't recall, you can show them a document and to refresh or help them to remember. Because, they just may have had a conversation and they don't remember how it went. And a lot of times some of the other witnesses was like, okay, well, if that's what he put in his report, fine. But she would not admit that she couldn't remember. She just demanded to see the document. So he's trying to get her to say, do you not remember? But she would not say that she needs to see a document to recall because she wants to argue and be adamant that she remembers clearly. And she knows what was said, right? Even though she's like, I can't remember what I said in grand jury. You can't remember what you said in grand jury, but then you admit clearly you remember what she said just like she said it the day she said it. And that shows her inconsistency and contradicting herself. But she's calling Trooper on like 3 different things, saying that what he's saying is not true. I didn't say that to him. 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 I didn't tell Trooper. I didn't tell him that. I didn't tell them. I just know I didn't tell him that. She's contradicting Trooper. Trooper's a liar, according to her. No, she didn't say that. She's like, well, he's wrong. He's wrong. So you've got state witnesses contradicting each other. And he's not the only literal person that she's contradicting. There was another lady who testified that she grabbed Karen at the bar. Not outside. She testified that that happened outside. They were inside. She was pulling Karen away from John and say, come with me. And she's like, well, where are we going? Well, I've got a surprise for you. And then that lady testified that she was surprised to see that she did not go with Karen. And she testified, oh, well, we were outside and they were inside. I mean, this lady is contradicting other witnesses. Here's another instance of when she contradicts Proctor again about what she said about the taillight. She said it had a crack in it. So she contradicts Proctor, what he put in the report. So because somebody busted that taillight, it did have a crack in it, But then there was no pieces left of it, and you can see clearly from the video that there was. So she's going to once again contradict Proctor. The taillight looked like, when you saw it, just like the photograph that he showed you, correct? So that's when they show the photograph. And it's not got a crack in it. There's hardly any pieces left at all. It's 90% gone, missing. And those pieces end up on the lawn where John O'Keefe was murdered. Or where he was left to die in the snow. And those pieces scattered is equivalent. Let's say somebody shoots a person. The cop shoots a guy. He says, well, this person pulled a gun on me, and that's why I shot him. And so the prosecutor takes and prosecutes that defendant and says, you pulled a gun on an officer, and you're going to have to prove that you didn't. And then you have a video, a surveillance video, showing that this cop lied through his teeth. Let's say the guy's back was to him, didn't even see the cop, wasn't even looking at him. That cop should be arrested. And there's many cases across America where that's exactly what happens. Cops go to jail because they lied on defendants and arrested them. This is the same exact situation when you have that cartel light fully intact from that 5 a.m. video. And then you have this video. So here she is contradicting Proctor again about the taillight. Okay, so here is where he's quoting Proctor, exactly what he wrote in the report. Quoting, see the word quote? I told him the taillight was cracked. That you used, those were the words you used per his report. And she's going to say that that's not what she said. That's what he said, I said. I'm telling you, I said. And then I mean, they're having a play on words here. But he's quoting Proctor's words. And so there's only a couple words difference, but it has an importance to it. And she's fighting with what Proctor said, because those little bitty details in what was said is very important. And she's remembering things down to the very, very details, word for word, what she insists she said to Proctor. And calling Proctor wrong again. Here's yet another person that she contradicts. This is yet other phone records that she's contradicting. Now she's saying that there was some phone calls that was answered by her sister. And she's saying no. She's just saying that the phone records are wrong. She doesn't care what the phone records say, they're wrong. She didn't answer. Because there was a whole bunch of flurry of phone calls made to family members. There was text messages, phone calls. There was conferring with each other, including with each other. She immediately went into the house screaming at the top of her lungs at her sister and brother-in-law. Yet she makes fun of Karen for screaming in a panic. Okay, yet she talks about how she went in there screaming and it was dark and busted into their bedroom, and that German Shepherd was nowhere to be found. The very German Shepherd that 4 people per independent investigation say attacked them. He's talked about the phone extraction. There was some different phone calls, and she says she didn't answer. She's contradicting the phone records. Doesn't matter what forensic evidence you give her, she will say, I don't care what it says, I don't agree with it. So the defense chimes in, oh, so this is just Trooper Proctor writing down your comments wrong yet again. Because at this point, she had contradicted so many people by now that he's just like, oh, it's just them getting your words wrong again, huh? There are so many. I mean, I literally transcribed the entire testimony, and I could sit here and show you the timestamps of so many times that she contradicted different people. But the bottom line is this right here. So what happened at 5 a.m., her tail light was not broken like this. It was not shining white. It had full red glow on it, and it was cracked. Then at 6:30 a.m. in day 7, there was a video that showed that somebody left footprints at her tail light. And then this is the photo that they presented, and she is saying that this is what it looked like. And the problem with that, it's not possible. This irrefutable evidence right here where she bumped his car, and it is not missing like that. This is 5 a.m., hours after she left him. Hours after she left him. Okay? Hours after she dropped him off. Her tail light was intact. And when you went, and as a DA, as a licensed attorney, according to bar ethics, you can research it. Look at the rules for attorneys. And that includes prosecutors. No attorney, when they find out that a witness or a client is lying, when upon investigation they see evidence that shows that they are lying, you must reveal it. He had a duty by law to arrest the persons who claimed they found her taillight pieces at that yard, because that is evidence of planting evidence. And that is what this irrefutable evidence that is time-stamped, stored online with Google, all the apps are through Google. That is not what you see in that photo, okay? That's not what you see. It's not completely missing. It's ridiculous. And then you see her bump this car over here, and there's paint on that car that matches that car right there. It's because she mentions her taillight being cracked and not knowing how she cracked it, because she was drinking the night before. She doubted her memory because of what they did to her, thinking that she could trust him, and saying that he never made it in that house. She doubted her memory. This is why you have paint right there at her taillight. They zoned in on her taillight. They zoned in on that. This is slow-mo of her bumping, just barely, well, I say barely bump. Some people will say no, it was more than a barely bump. But, I mean, a bump like that is enough to cause a crack. But it didn't cause it to break off or anything like that. I mean, you know, the ground's covered in snow. You see the light. Look at all that light. Look at all that red light coming from her tail light. She ain't got 85-90% of her tail light missing. It's ridiculous. And then, so after that photo was taken, that was shown in court, they completely took everything off. And so they weren't allowed to test the dog, the shirt, for canine DNA. They were not allowed to test the tissue. They were not allowed to test that paint there on that car to see if it matches him. So anytime they use evidence, here's what needs to be done, is you cannot use evidence if you're not allowing the defense to independently test it. But that tail light is not missing, guys. And here, if you go back and you look at the video, because this isn't going to be the best presentation of these footprints, but there is a pair of footprints right here at her tail light. Right here at her tail light. Now, this is the guy who went and picked up Kaylee. He didn't make these. If you look at the videos, he does not go near those footprints. And there's some footprints that goes all the way down here. And now, somebody was at her tail light. You go back day 7, when they showed this video clip of when he was at her house. You go, and when there's a portion where they zoom in, and there's a set of footprints right there at her tail light. And it happened after the snowfall. So after she left, where it was intact, before 6:30, somebody was at her tail light. Somebody was at her tail light and left those footprints. Okay? So, yeah, guys. And people are like, well, it's not possible all these people would collude together. Yes, they would. Absolutely. Conspiracies always involve a lot of people. I want to share one story about what happened in Oklahoma in the 1980s. There were 77 counties. It was the biggest investigative probe in the United States history. Bill Price was the U.S. attorney, and he prosecuted and got over 200 convictions. There were lawyers, there were county commissioners, there were vendors. There were so many people involved in that corrupt scandal where they robbed many, many millions of people, and just, it wasn't like violence or murder, but it was just so many people involved. And it was just, don't ever think that corruption involves one person. That's just ridiculous. Sorry, but it is.